Today, I want to speak about a very interesting legal literature written by a very well known scholar named Lon L. Fuller in the year 1949, published in the Harvard Law Review. Is a very interesting imaginary case of cannibalism and murder, wherein four persons accused of murder were convicted of death sentence, and this shows the different philosophies of law in action by way of this imaginary case. The facts of this case were that early in the May of 1940, five members of Society of Amateurs interested in exploration of caves in the company of Roger Wetmore went into the interior of a limestone cave in the central plateau of the Commonwealth. While they were inside, a landslide occurred, and heavy stones fell in such a manner as to block completely the only known opening to the cave. On the failure of members to return to their home, rescue operations started. The task of rescue proved one of overwhelming difficulty. The explorers had carried with them very few provisions for food and water, and there was no animal or vegetable matter within the cave on which they could subsist. Chances were that they might starve before they could be rescued. On the 20th day of their entrapment, it was learned for the first time that they had a portable wireless machine capable of both sending and receiving messages. They asked how long a time would be required to release them. The rescue team answered that at least 10 days if no new landslides occurred. The imprisoned men asked for a medical opinion whether they could be likely to live without food and water for 10 days longer. The physician told them that there was little possibility of that. Wetmore, speaking on behalf of himself and the others, asked whether they would be able to survive for 10 days longer if they consumed the flesh of one of the members. The physician reluctantly answered this question in the affirmative. When the imprisoned men were finally released after 32 days of being trapped inside the caves, it was learned that on the 23rd day after their entrance into the cave, Wetmore had been killed and eaten by his companion. After the rescue of the surviving members, they were indicted for the murder of Roger Wetmore. From the testimony of the defendants, which was accepted by the jury, it appears that it was Wetmore who first proposed that they might find the nutriment without which survival was impossible in the flesh of one of their own members. It was also Wetmore who first proposed the use of some method of casting lots, calling the attention of the defendants to a pair of dice he happened to have with him. The defendants were at first reluctant to adopt so desperate a procedure, but after the conversations by wireless with the physician, they finally agreed on the plan proposed by Wetmore. When it was Wetmore's turn, the dice were cast for him by one of the members, and he was asked to declare any objection he might have to the fairness of the throw. He stated that he had no such objections. The throw went against him, and he was then put to death and eaten by his companions. The trial judge ruled that the defendants were guilty of murdering Roger Wetmore. The judge then sentenced them to be hanged, the law of Commonwealth permitting him no discretion with respect to the penalty to be imposed. The language of the statute provided that whoever shall wilfully take the life of another shall be punished by death. This was the provision of murder at that time, which was invoked and for which these defendants were charged. The trial court convicted them and sentenced them to death because there was no other option available to the trial court. An appeal was filed before the Supreme Court to be decided by five-judge bench of the Supreme Court. So should these four convicts be hanged to death, as that is the only sentence that can be prescribed under the Commonwealth law at that time? Can they not come out with a defense that what they did was out of sheer necessity, as otherwise their life could also have been lost, and it is better to lose one life than to lose five lives? And if four lives are saved by taking life of one person, can that also be a defense to the act of murder or cannibalism that was done under such circumstances which existed at that point in time? So there are some interesting questions that are raised and some interesting defense which are put. Can the accused also claim that what they did was under self-defense and in order to preserve their life, and therefore they were justified in taking one life of Roger Wetmore? Also, Roger Wetmore's consent was taken when the dice was rolled against him, and he had accepted and said that there was no objection to the rolling of the dice. And therefore, can it be said that there was a fair procedure which was agreed by all the five persons, and after due process or after the procedure being followed, the life of Roger Wetmore was taken? And can that also be a defense to taking away the right of life of Roger Wetmore? So these defenses would be considered by five judges of the Supreme Court, and the five judges will give different opinions based on different legal theories, and this will introduce the law students or lawyers to different legal theories in action, which I will be dealing in my next video. But before that, you can comment your opinion on the comment box given below and let me know what you think about this case.